Hi there, Sandra here from createinspain. Today I'm using up scraps of wood and I'm making something that is useful for me. Now, for those of you who are used to doing large wood projects, I bet you get lots of little bits of wood left over and you haven't got a clue what to do with it all. And this might solve one of those things for you, you never know. Now, if you happen to have a crafting partner who's into smaller crafts, then keep watching because this could earn you some serious brownie points. So at the moment I've got some tiny little circles and I'm just sticking pairs of them together. As you might guess, they're going to be little handles for something else. So what I'm actually making is something that I found you can use to make seals. I would say wax seals, but I don't happen to have any of the sealing wax, and take it from me, having tried it, candle wax doesn't work the same. But there are ways around that if you don't have sealing wax. I have done what I would class as a deep engrave because this is probably, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters deep. It's quite a deep engraving. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of charring on here. No great problem. Get my trusty cleaning material. Now, the one that I'm using is this stuff because I buy it locally. It's cheap, 70% alcohol, and I'm not sure exactly what else it has in it, but it does the job rather well. So I just get an old toothbrush, dip it in, and give it a good scrub. Dry it off in the cloth. There we have perfectly cleaned piece. You might find that useful for anything else you happen to be trying to clean up. Doesn't take very long to get them clean. Now the other thing is, if you don't happen to have a crafting partner, you might have kids who like to mess around with stamping things and clays and all the rest. So these would still be useful for them. So just turn them over the other way and stick the little handles on. And I've got some various pieces that I've done over here in various ways. All right, now these here have been, with the exception of that one, made with a foam clay. So this is the stuff. It's a foamy clay. It's designed for children to use. This formula has changed because it used to be, it wasn't sticky at all. This formula is a bit sticky. Not really, but it is a bit sticky. It doesn't stain things, it's not toxic, it's suitable for kids of over 3 years of age. And it's quite good for making faux seals. So this is what it looks like when you've done it out of the clay. Like so. This one I've actually put some glue over the top and I foiled it just to see what would happen. That was quite hard to do. I was using little foil flakes and yeah, that was quite messy. If you're doing it with kids, I wouldn't suggest you do that one. Then I've got this one here and I've got a gold one. This one has had some colour applied to it. And this is more of a stamp version. So you see what I've done is I've made the foam part of it, stuck it onto the wood base with a design on it, but this can be used with an ink to stamp. So that's another way of doing it. And these are done with a black clay and a powder pigment, as is that one. This one is a raw one. This one was pigmented with a powder and then pressed. So you can get different effects. And then I have some here that I've done with glue in varying degrees of success. This is with a transparent glue. Well, I say transparent, it's a clear glue. The clear glues that you buy generally do not dry completely clear and transparent like glass, like they go a bit opaque. It's still not bad, and I did put a little bit of powder over it simply so you can see the design a bit better, but it's not my favourite. So I prefer to use a solid colour in a glue gun. So at the moment I've got black in my glue gun and I'm just putting a white stick in there. The trouble is with glue guns is unless you're going to have one glue gun for every colour, it's a pain in the neck to change them out. This one I rather like the look of. Again, black glue and powder effect on there so you get a different colour, and I've got some chameleon powders that I like to use. This one was part black, part clear, and so I just put some powder over the top of it afterwards. I've got one just like green, I've got one here which is blue. You can paint them afterwards if you want to, if you use an acrylic paint. And I found the best way of doing it to get a really, really good cover, unless you've got high quality paints, and most people don't have high quality paints unless they are doing really good artwork, is to use a PVA glue and mix a pigment powder into it. And that's how I did this one, which happens to have been done on an air dry clay. Now the air dry clay gives you a great impression. It's a wonderful thing to use, except that if you do it quite thinly, air dry clay tends to shrink up and curl, and that's not what you want if you're doing this. So I wouldn't really advise using the air dry clay for it. So let's see if my glue gun, I think my glue gun is getting pretty ready. So if I've got, for example, this one here, and I want to use it, put in a drop of glycerin, get a reasonably stiff brush and work it into all the crevices. Now you don't want a humongous bubble of the stuff in there. You just want enough that it's going to make it so that it's not going to stick to the glue. Now that seems to have absorbed it pretty well, so I think I'm pretty good there. Lovely glossy black glue. Put this over the top. Press down until you get a little bit all around the edges, like so, and just leave it to cool. Now this is a silicone mat, nothing is going to actually permanently stick to this, so I can do that. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can use a wax paper or something of that type. And there we have the one that just had the glycerin on it. So for this one I want to do a coloured powder, but what I'm going to do is put a little drop of glycerin on first to make this kind of tacky enough for some powder to stay on it. Because the powder is very, very fine, and I wouldn't be at all surprised in a design like this whether the powder just sort of didn't really go onto it at all. I'm just going to find a pigment powder to use. Right, now this is just a makeup powder. I don't use it for makeup, I use it for craft use. It's a prism powder, so this changes colour when it meets a different colour, if you see what I mean. So let's see what effect we can get with this. So I can hold it by the handle and dump a load of this powder inside. Make sure I get it well and truly coated. Don't want any areas not to have the powder on, that would be unfortunate. Give it a bit of a tap. Okay, and let's see what this does. Now, you can use proper pigment powders. I've got some jacquard ones which are really nice, but this is just so that you can have a go at doing this without buying anything special to do it. I think 4 is probably going to be enough because this is a slightly smaller image. Get hold of the handle, put it over the top and press down. Yeah, there we go. that is definitely not coming off. And that's fine because that's one of the bigger ones. That one's going to go in the bin. But that one had the glycerin plus the powder. So the glycerin helps the powder stay on to the wood, and hopefully that one should work quite nicely. Now if you're going to use a foam, I don't understand why they changed the formula to make it more sticky. Maybe they had a problem with it drying out. So with this particular thing, what I do is I roll it into a ball and I flatten the ball a little bit, like so. I will do another one and I will put the powder on it this time. So work all that powder into the holes and then put it into the centre and press down. Okay, so that has got a reasonable edge to it now. And in this case, I simply lift it up. And as you can see, that is an easy way of doing things. Now I won't move it from there at the moment, but when you want to move it, if you have to move it, get a piece of thread and just pull it tight and then move it from underneath. But that has given, it a nice colour finish, and obviously you still get the black edges on there. Now this one, is going to come off, work it off, and there we have the bee. So we still have the black edge and we have the colour, and of course if you want to you can take all that and you can rub it around the edges as well. Sometimes some of the powder will come off, but you can always add a bit more powder. Rub it around the edges, and if you want to make sure the powder and everything doesn't come off, you can always give it a coating of hairspray or something. I do like this one, I think that's come out rather nicely. So that is how I make these things, and they have various uses. So yeah, really handy if you got odd scraps of wood hanging around and you don't know what else to do with them. Yeah, let people play, have a bit of fun. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.